Alright, I'm gonna try to do this review without getting angry at white people. That is a joke. But let's see how this goes. Between this and Oppenheimer being 10 hours long and movie theater prices are ridiculous, at least it feels like we're getting our money's worth. We're talking spoilers, by the way. Killers of the Flower Moon is a movie I was excited for, even though I knew absolutely nothing about it. I've been purposely avoiding trailers since I started this channel, and all I knew about this movie was Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Robert De Niro. Outside of that, all I knew about this movie was white people, Native Americans, and oil money. So off rip, I knew somebody was getting slaughtered. Not knowing what I was getting into, not realizing that this was based on a true story, holding a 3.5 hour runtime, this movie is a slow burn that was still able to hold my attention the entire time. I had to piss so bad around that 2.5 hour mark, but I was scared if I left, I was gonna miss something important. Let's talk about it. This is the latest movie from legendary director Martin Scorsese, and I've always been a big fan of his. The Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen that at least 100 times, but Wolf on Wall Street, Taxi Driver, Shutter Island, Casino, The Departed, I'm talking hits after hit. He's worked with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro multiple times over the years, and this still might be one of their best performances. I'm a big fan of Leonardo DiCaprio. He has so many classics. Inception is definitely my most favorite film that he's featured in, but this isn't to have any sort of recency bias, but this might be the best performance that I've ever seen from him. And that's saying a lot. Before this, I would say that Django was my favorite performance by him, but his acting as Ernest is sure to get him an Oscar nomination. Robert De Niro at 80 years old is still as incredible as ever playing William Hale. Leo and Robert De Niro characters in this movie were such evil pieces of shit. And the thing that I love is that they didn't try to sugarcoat it. For me at least, there was no redeeming qualities to any of their characters, and I love that. They didn't try to make you like them. They were terrible people, and William Hale being the mastermind behind everything, the movie made it very clear and direct that King Hale, as people called him, was a complete scumbag. Outside of Leo and Robert, we get Lily Gladstone, who I've never heard of. She was incredible from start to finish. She has that gift where she's able to say so much with saying so little. I truly felt terrible with what was happening with her character. I mean, she had to watch a majority of her family die by a bunch of money-hungry white people who never even really cared about her. And then I genuinely felt sick and my heart dropped every time I watched Leo give her one of those insulin shots. Man, I couldn't imagine what she was going through, having to watch your friends and family get brutally murdered clear as day, and nobody cares. Like, thank God the police doesn't do that today. Her and Leo were great on screen together as we watched this man lie to her face for years. The Osage tribe discovered oil, which led to them receiving a bunch of money, which brought in a bunch of white people who wanted to take that money. So basically you had these white men who would try to marry their way into the tribe, but then they would kill off men and women so they can collect their money. I don't want to turn this video into some deep, dark, serious rant because I try to keep this channel light for the most part, but as a black man who also has Native American roots, boy did this movie piss me off. But at the same time, I'm able to separate my emotions and my personal feelings to recognize just how great this movie is. Martin Scorsese tells an amazing story in his usual signature way, brutal deaths, random jump cuts to different scenes, and I love how he's always able to tell such dark stories and still find moments to sprinkle humor in some of the scenes. It was a couple of scenes in this movie where my theater burst into laughter in a good way based on how ridiculous some of the things we were seeing and hearing, especially at the end of the movie where we saw Ernest and Hale's lives come crashing down. I loved every moment of the last hour and a half of the movie once the FBI got involved. The look on Leonardo DiCaprio's face when he saw Blackie get brought in during the FBI interrogation made my entire theater erupt. Also, this is random, but I love this guy Jesse Plemons. Whenever he's in a movie or a TV show, you just know shit is gonna get done. It's so much that I want to dive into and talk about, but I'm in a good mood and I don't like being angry. I don't see how anybody could leave this movie and not be upset at what they saw. And once again, let me just be very clear, in terms of the movie itself, I'm saying that in a good way. In terms of the issues that I had with this movie, it's not much. I mean, don't get me wrong, 3.5 hours is a long time, but for the most part, it all felt necessary. This movie is a really slow burn, but the last hour or so of the movie was my favorite part. The main criticism that I've seen for this movie are people calling it straight up boring. I wouldn't go that far, but there were moments early in the film in which I wish more was happening. Like I said, this is a really slow burn, this movie is not going to be for everybody. Also, I don't know if it was just my theater, but I had some audio issues in some places. It was one scene early in the movie where Ernest and Molly were having dinner. This was right before the storm hit, where they had to sit and quiet. It was like at one point Leo's audio sounded normal, then they cut back to him and his audio was really low, and then when they cut back to him, it sounded normal. The same thing kind of happened later in the movie where Leonardo and Robert De Niro's character was in jail, and Leo had just found out that his daughter died, and Robert De Niro was off to the side talking, and it didn't seem like it was a stylistic choice. It didn't seem like Robert was talking under his breath, but his audio was just really low. Like everything in that scene just kind of felt off audio wise. It was a couple of other scenes where the audio just seemed off, but once again, maybe it was just my theater. The special effects in that scene where the house got blown up and it showed the shockwave throughout the neighborhood, those special effects looked terrible. That shockwave looked like something I could have created in Final Cut Pro. Brendan Fraser is also in this movie, and Brendan is cool with me. I'm happy that he's making a return to Hollywood. I used to love the Mummy series when I was a kid. I used to love that movie Bedazzled or whatever that was called, but he was so cringy in this movie. Like in that courtroom scene where he got up and he just started yelling, I literally sunk down in my seat in embarrassment. Secondhand embarrassment. No. Brendan, no. But for the most part, those are still pretty small things. So overall, I thought this was a great movie. Oh, and before I forget, that dude, Kelsey Morrison. Just had to put that out there. As of this recording, it looks like the movie is projected to make about $23 million in its first weekend. It has a critic score of 92%, a fan rating of 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now for me, I'm more with the critics on this one. I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think this is like the 4th or 5th movie I've given a 9 to this year. This movie is great. This movie is amazing. But this is one of those movies that I can appreciate and sit back and be like, wow, that was incredible. But I don't think I'ma ever watch this movie again. This is one of those movies that I'm glad that I saw, but I don't think I'ma ever watch again. I can't imagine myself watching this when I'm just chilling in the crib. Like Oppenheimer, for example, I gave Oppenheimer a 10 out of 10. I saw Oppenheimer 4 times in IMAX. 4 times. That's 12 hours in a movie theater for one movie. But great acting, great story, great cinematography. I would be shocked if this doesn't get Oscar nominations. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. What were your thoughts on this movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you think that it was boring? Did you have any audio issues, or was it just my theater? Let me know in the comment section below. Love you guys. Tell someone you love them. Till next time, see you in the next life.